Hey everybody, it's Bruce and the dog on the floor, and today we're going to begin working with SVG elements. Now, LiveView is an excellent tool for dealing with SVG because it's a lot like dealing with the HTML underneath. It has text-based elements that are defined in very much the same way and can be accessed in very much the same way as other LiveView elements. In addition, it has some styling components that are going to make it easy, for example, for us to add a hovering element to the individual squares in the grid that we plan to make. Let's get started. Recall that this is the application that we're working in, and we have individual puzzles, and we want to be able to define a grid for this puzzle. But the first thing that we need to do is kind of clean up all of this noise. This is a really noisy display. And instead of having all of this information, I'd like to consolidate all of this stuff in the middle, probably within the heading proper. So let's go ahead and do that work. I'm within this show component that does most of the work. And you can see that we have this extra subtitle that we're not using. We're actually showing the ID up here, and we really don't need that. We actually need the puzzle name. And then we can have the dimensions right up here, as easy as that. So I could have the puzzle height and the puzzle width like that, right? So I could show both of those right there, and we can remove these item tags. And that's going to give us a much better look for the overall system, and one that we have more room to play with the concepts that we need to. We could go ahead and just drop the information here. And our SVG graphics will be between these horizontal rows. Create a couple of those and put SVG here. And see if we like that better. I'm going to go ahead and go to the user interface here. Yeah, so the SVG would be here, and then we'd be able to click on the individual columns and rows and fill in the shapes that we want. The next thing that I have to do is actually draw an SVG graph here. But what we really need is to understand how the overall framing elements are in the individual elements that we want to build. So SVG is to graphics as HTML is for web markup. And in this case, we have a couple of SVG components. One is a rectangle without rounded corners, and one is a rectangle with rounded corners. We're going to need all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this much in. We're just going to steal it intact. And then we're going to style it with some information from Tailwinds. But first, let's go ahead and drop our code in right here. So let's go ahead and erase this partial search as well. That's kind of noisy for us. We don't need that. And so we're going to drop the canvas in right there. So our canvas, let's say that probably the biggest pentomino puzzle I've seen is going to be 20 by 20. So maybe if our individual boxes, you know, and a pentomino is 5 of those boxes, but if an individual box is 10 by 10, then we'll have something that looks kind of like this, right? So this is a rectangle at x equals 0 and y is equal to 0. And that one doesn't have rounded corners. And here's one with rounded corners, and we'll see which one that we like better. I'm going to drop this in like that. And this is going to be at 10, 0. And let's see if we like one or the other better. And let's drop another one of each kind in, just so we'll be able to see them next to each other and see if that makes a difference. And so this is going to be at y equals 0. These will both be at, say, y equal 10. So let's go ahead and save that much and take a look at what we have. Yeah, okay, so we have this work so far. That doesn't look like exactly what I expected it to. Let's see what's up here. So x is 0, x is 10. That's what we wanted. And then X is 0 here and X is 10 there. And then for the rounded corners, we want something like the Rx is equal to something like 1 maybe. And we'll add the same thing here. And that's basically going to tell us what the rounding is going to look like. I think it'll base the Y on the X, but we'll see what happens here. Yeah, so these are on the top, you have two different SVG elements right next to each other. And on the bottom, you have SVG elements next to each other. I think I do prefer the rounded corners because it does allow me to distinguish between the individual boxes without doing a whole lot of work. Maybe we want to round them a little bit more. Let's see what happens if we do. Okay, so we're going to round these a little bit more and see what that's going to be like. Yeah, so we have a little bit more aggressive rounding here, but it still gives us the overall look of a grid. So we're going to take these two lines, or how about just take one of these lines, and we'll drop it in each of these up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that much and see if we like that overall better. Yeah, I think that I do. And what I want to do is build a functional component for that rectangle. So we're going to pull that rectangle out and just go ahead and drop this in to another functional component. And what I want the API to look like is something like this. This is going to be a rectangle with an X and a Y. Well, let's go ahead and cut over to the show implementation first. So I'll do a show.ex. That looks like the very first file there. Yep, that's what we want. We want this show.ex, and I'm going to drop in that def p, and or how about just a def of a rectangle, and this is going to take assigns. And this is going to have that Hex sigil. And we're going to drop in the individual element here, but we want this to be an X. Do we want that in, do we want this to be in a string, or do we want it to be, I think that I want that to be done, well, let's try it like that. And then let's have Y is going to be at Y. And then the width and height can be hard-coded, as can the rounding. And that's going to be pretty nice, right? So this is going to look like this in the implementation here. So now I could say, give me a rectangle where the X is 0 and the Y is 0. And we're going to have to drop in the terms like that, right? And the width is 10, the height is 10, and the RX is 2. We can go ahead and grab the default there. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And we're going to add a couple of these. And so we'll do X is 0, and then an X is 1, and then a X is 0, and X is 1. And then on the second row, we'll make the whole second row Y is 1. And we'll see if we like that much. But I think we're going to need to make one more change first. It looks like we're going to have to multiply this X by 10. Like that. And a Y times 10, like that. So let's see if this is going to work for us. It may or may not. Yeah, so look what it's giving us here. That's wonderful. And so it's not giving us exactly the right look. So I probably just kind of botched the overall, the individual starting, right? So 0, 0, 1, 0. And this is 0, 1, and 1, 1. So that looks like it should have been correct. Let's look at the component again. This is x times 10, and the y is y times 10. The width and height look like they're okay. So I'm going to try one more time. So this is x, and these are y's. 0, 1, 0, 1, and this is 0, 0, 1, 1. Let's go ahead and save that again. Yeah, so I hadn't saved it all the way through. That was the whole problem. So I think this is going to give us an idea for what things are going to look like, and I think that we can start out by using a for comprehension here. So let's take one more look at the HTML here and one more look at the user interface, and I bet that we can go ahead and fill out a whole grid, a 20 by 20 grid that will be full of these individual pieces, and that's probably going to give us a really good starting point. We'll do that with a for comprehension, and we'll do that next. So let's turn up the volume a little bit with some Elixir wizardry, and I'm going to delete this much. I'm going to delete all the pieces that I don't need and let Elixir fill in the values for the rest. I'm going to say I'm going to populate this with an X and a Y. And where are we going to get this? Well, we need a nested loop, but we could get the nesting from a single Elixir directive called a for comprehension. So I'm going to say for X is taken from 0 to 19 and Y is taken from 0 to 19, do, and then I'm going to fill this out, and I never can quite remember if there's an equals or not on the end. I'm going to guess that it's not. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. So let's see what that does to us on the user interface side. And yeah, I have that beautiful grid that I'm looking for. It's distinguished between the individual elements, but I don't have a really hefty line to worry about. So I think that this is going to do what we want pretty well. I'm going to shrink this down so that we can see it all. I think that that's going to be fine for our purposes. And so the next step is to use a fill that's triggered by a CSS hover. And that's going to be something that looks like this, but I want to tell you how I found it. I couldn't find it with the Tailwind documentation, so I just plugged it into Google. I just did a Tailwind SVG hover. And so this is going to give me the class that I need. I'm not going to apply it to the whole SVG canvas. I think I just want to apply it to the individual cells. And let's see if we like that, okay? So that's going to be in the component because I want it to show up in each one of these things. And I actually think I want to start breaking these down so that it's a little bit more manageable for my programmers to read. So I'm going to get a new line here. And I'm going to say that the class, this is a CSS thing, so I'm looking at a class. Then I'm going to drop that information in right here. It looks like I already had the class from the copy. And so from a hover perspective, that's the only one that we really need. So cyan is kind of a blue color. How about a slate? And maybe just a really, is that a light one or a dark one? Let's see if we like that. So that's a slate. Yeah, look at that. So I'm starting to get hover as I move my mouse around. I think I want it just a little bit darker than that. I'm not getting it on these individual two. So I bet that I've left a little bit of code lying around, but we can go ahead and clean that up. So in the HTML it said, yeah, so I left this in place. And I think that we probably want this a little bit darker than it showed. So let's go ahead and maybe bring this to 400 or so. See if we like that. Yeah, that's a much more subtle effect. And I think that's going to be good. And so when we click these, I think that we want to turn them on. And when they're not clicked, I think that we want to turn them off. So one of the things that we want to do is let's say that we want to mark the assigns or the fields for this. This is an attribute. So I have one that's X, and that's going to be an integer, and that's going to be required. And then I have another similar one for Y. And then I have another one for how about, what is it, on or off? So I'm going to say if this is, how about on? No, on is, how about alive? And I'm going to say that this is a Boolean. Default is false. And then for the fill, we probably want to leave this alone. But for the fill, we want to say fill is equal to. And then we probably want to fill in some type of a color right here. So let's interpret that like this. And let's say fill color. And then say color. And then pass in a live. Like that. So, and then I can throw a function on here. That's a def p. And we're going to say fill color. And then for true. And this is going to be black. And for dead, for false, this is going to be white. Okay. And so we're going to default that to false, or yeah, let's default that to false. And let's see what that looks like now. So I'm going to bring up the user interface. Alive expected. Okay, so I didn't set up alive correctly. So this is a Boolean, default false. Okay, yeah. So this needs to be one of these attributes. And I didn't specify it for these, so these should be all white. Yeah, and they are. And so what's going to happen eventually is that as we click on these individual elements, they're going to turn on or off, and they're going to stay on or off. But I think that we have a pretty good start for our LiveView component. And what's going to happen is we're going to extract all of these concepts into our puzzle grid. And that grid component is going to process the ons and offs and things like that. And that's going to allow us to build a much more sophisticated user interface much more quickly and only worry about the concerns of clicking these individual cells. And that's going to lead to a much more layered, beautiful application that's much easier for us to maintain in the long run, and that's what we're looking for. From Bruce and the dog on the floor, this is Groxio Learning.